For months, the skies above Gaza burn with fire. Entire neighborhoods vanish under the thunder of warplanes. Families fled south, searching for safety that never came. But today, for the first time in nearly a year, the guns have fallen silent. A ceasefire, fragile, complex, and historic, has taken effect between Israel and Hamas, marking what could be the end of one of the most devastating chapters in the region's history. But what does this fire really mean? Who shaped it? What's hidden behind the political smiles and caution statements? And will this be peace or just another pause before the next storm? Let's break down the deal that could reshape the Middle East. This is Denzel speaking, and welcome to the World of Intrigue. The first part of the deal is all about ending the fighting and saving lives. At exactly 12 p.m. Gaza time, both sides agreed to stop all attacks, no rockets, no raids, no strikes. In return, both sides must take big steps within the first 72 hours. Hamas must release every hostages it still holds, alive or dead. Israel must release around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, including women, minors, and political detainees. At the same time, Israeli troops will pull back from several parts of Gaza, especially from the crowded cities, but they will still control around half of the territory, mostly open areas and roads for security reasons. The second part of the deal, which is the humanitarian help, rebuilding lives. After so many months of war, Gaza is in ruins, so the deal focuses on massive humanitarian aid. About 600 trucks every day will now be allowed to enter Gaza, carrying food, medicine, fuel, and water. The main roads like Saladin and Al-Rashid will be reopened so people can travel between the north and the south again. The United Nations and aid groups will manage the distribution to make sure help reaches civilians, not fighters. The third part, which is the international oversight, keeping the peace. Of course, a paper deal means nothing if no one watches over it. That's why the special international team will help make sure that both sides respect the agreement. The United States, together with Egypt, Qatar, and other Arab countries, will create a monitoring mission. About 200 American troops will help coordinate, not by entering Gaza, but by staying nearby to manage logistics, satellite checks, and border communications. Their job is to prevent misunderstandings, the kind that could easily restart the war. The fourth part, which is the second phase, and this is when it comes to the big questions. If the first phase goes well, the next step will be even harder. It's called Phase 2, and it's all about the future of Gaza. Israel wants Hamas to disarm, to give up all its weapons. Hamas says that will only happen if Israel fully withdraws and end the blockade. So both sides will start talks about who will govern Gaza, how to rebuild it, how to make sure it doesn't become a war zone again. It's also expected that countries like Egypt, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia will take part in rebuilding efforts, from schools and hospitals to destroyed housing blocks. The fifth point, which is the real challenge, which is the trust. It all sounds promising, but the biggest problem isn't the documents, it's the trust. Both sides accused the other of breaking promises before, and even today, just hours after the truce began, some reports spoke of small clashes and gunfire in certain areas. Still, for millions of people in Gaza and Israel, this deal offers something they haven't had in a long time, a small taste of hope. For the families waiting for hostages, for the children who haven't heard silence in months, this ceasefire is more than politics. It's a chance to start breathing again. This is what's inside Gazaceasefiredeal, a careful mix of promises, pressure, and hope. Whether it leads to real peace or just another pause before more pain, and only time will tell. Now that we know what's inside the ceasefire deal, let's talk about the people behind it, because every deal, no matter how peaceful it looks, always has politics hidden in the shadows. This deal did not come out of nowhere. For months, secret meetings were happening in Cairo, Doha, and even Washington. Egypt acted as the main middleman. Qatar used its links with Hamas to keep communication open, and the United States, under pressure to stop the bloodshed, pushed both sides to agree, with help from Saudi Arabia and Turkey watching closely. In the end, it was a deal that everyone wanted to claim as their victory, but no one fully trusted. For Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, this ceasefire is a risky move. Inside Israel, people are divided. Some believe the war should have ended long ago. Others think the ceasefire is a mistake that gives Hamas time to rebuild. Netanyahu faces protests, political rivals, and families of soldiers who want answers. He had to choose between continuing the war or stopping it before it destroys his government. So for him, the ceasefire isn't just about peace, it's about survival. On the other side, Hamas also needed a way out. Months of fighting left Gaza in ruins. Thousands of fighters were killed. The people were starving and angry. By accepting the deal, Hamas can say it supports Israel to pull back troops and negotiate something that really happens. They call it a victory of resistance, but the truth is, Hamas is also trying to survive politically and rebuild its strength before it loses control completely. Global-wise, the ceasefire is more than just a local truce. It's a test for the war diplomacy. For the United States, this is proof that diplomacy still works. For Egypt and Qatar, it's about showing leadership in the Arab world. And for Donald Trump, who helped push the deal, it's a chance to say, my plan stopped the Gaza war. But behind the scenes, there's also competition. Every country wants to be the hero that ended the bloodshed. Even with this deal in place, the hardest work is just beginning. Because the main question is now, who will rule Gaza once Israeli troops fully withdraw? And can Hamas really give up its weapons? And will Israel lift the blockade and allow normal life to return? None of these questions have answered yet. And history tells us the many ceasefires in Gaza have collapsed in days or weeks. That's why the US and Arab mediators are planning to stay close, watching, warning, and trying to keep both sides calm. Still, everyone knows how fragile it is. One rocket, one raid, one broken promise, and it could all fall apart again. In the middle of all these politics are the people. Families in Gaza are walking back to what's left of their homes. Children are healing silence for the first time in months. And on the Israeli side, families of hostages are waiting, hoping the loved ones come home soon. And for them, this ceasefire isn't about strategy. It's about survival, memory, and one simple wish that this war really ends this time. So as leaders shake hands and cameras flash, the whole world watches carefully. Is this deal a real turning point or just another pause before history repeats itself? Now the ceasefire has started, the question on everyone's mind is simple. What happens next? For the first time in months, people in Gaza can move freely between north and the south. Markets are reopening, children are playing in the streets, but beneath the calm, uncertainty still rules. In the next few weeks, both sides will be under close watch. Every move, every shot, every word will be reported. If the ceasefire holds for 30 days, talks will begin on phase 2, the phase that decides who governs Gaza. Israel says it will not accept Hamas staying in power. Hamas says it will never surrender control completely. So mediators are suggesting a temporary joint administration led by Palestinian Authority, supported by Arab countries, and supervised by international peace monitors. It's a complex plan, and everyone knows that one mistake could destroy it all. Then comes the next challenge, which is the reconstruction part. Billions of dollars will be needed to rebuild homes, hospitals, schools, and power plants. Egypt, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia have already promised support, but donors will only send money if the ceasefire stays strong. For Gaza people, rebuilding isn't just about concrete and steel. It's about hope. It's about proving that peace can give more than war ever did. Still, history whispers a warning. Many ceasefires before started with joy and ended with explosions. Will this time be different? No one knows. But everyone, from the United Nations to the smallest child in Gaza, is hoping this silence will last forever. So here we are, standing at the edge of peace and memory. After so many nights of fear, Gaza wakes up to something rare, a sunrise without the sound of bombs. But peace in the Middle East is never simple. It's fragile, it's political, it's personal. For Israel, it's about security. For Hamas, it's about survival. For the people on both sides, it's about just living one more day without loss. The coming weeks will tell us whether this ceasefire is a new beginning or just another chapter in a story that keeps repeating. What do you think? Will this ceasefire finally bring real peace to Gaza? Or will the silence break again? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the World of Intrigue for more stories behind the world's most complex conflicts.